Eddie Troxler here. Once again, this is our fourth episode of Jazz Chat. Today I have my friend Nathan French, who is he's an elementary school educator. And I did my master's in teaching, but I try, hats off to anybody that can do that all day, because it's not. I didn't find it to be that easy, but Nathan seems to love his job. But anyway, we're gonna do a song. This program we usually pick a public domain jazz standard, and we play through it, and then we chat about it a bit. Hence the name, Jazz Chat. I do have someone working on the website where we'll have the downloads of exercises, the links to the videos, and lots of other things where you can make comments. That will be up soon. It's in the process, jazzchat.org. But anyway, we'll jump right into the tune, and then we'll talk about it a bit. Last four. About, what's the speed? There. All right, that was Ain't We Got Fun, and that is from, I thought I'd bring up a little of the history. It's by List, Whiting, Egan, and Kahn. The copyright, let me help with these Roman numerals again.
Oh, yeah, no.
Is it
Here, I'll read them for you.
Yeah.
It's just MCMXXI.
MCMX. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it said.
So that's 1921.
All right. So the copyright is 1921. So we're well in line with the public domain.
Oh, yeah.
This one just says Richard Whiting, the music composer, and then the lyrics by Gus Kahn and Raymond Egan. I'm not sure. a lot of these were show tunes at that particular era. They went to shows, and they went to dances. We were talking yesterday. It listed as a foxtrot, which you don't hear that term a lot anymore, but it was a type of dance that I think a lot of people could do. It wasn't something you had to, go to dance school and
Yeah, and back in the day, those dances, that was like the big happening thing. We didn't have social media. You couldn't go on Facebook or whatever. If you want to see your friends, you go out to the dance.
Yeah, and I remember even when I was growing up, I'm a good bit older than Nathan, but my parents would go out. We used to have this supper club that we would go to. They went out on Wednesday nights, and there was a band, and they would dance, and they would do all these different standards and we got to know some of those, and it was kind of the thing that people did. I don't know. It seems like maybe the only place you might find something like that, they're like senior centers sometimes now or something like that. But
yeah,
but maybe we could revive it. Things.
Someday, maybe, yeah. I mean, I teach dancing, not this kind of dancing, but I do folk dancing and things like that with my kids because there is like a sort of social element to it, and I think it's good to get moving and to be working with people in that sense. But I know there's a big scene for polkas and stuff like that out in the Midwest. So I think there are pockets of stuff like this where it still exists, especially in big cities,
And it's important that people like you are holding that tradition. I can remember elementary school, they made us square dance, which there's certain forms of that. Up here they have, I don't know around here, but when I had a shop in Peterborough, New Hampshire, they were big into that contra dance, which is similar to square dancing, is that right? But is
sort of, yes. So contra dancing is more like line formations.
I see, yeah.
And such. And that's more in the line of what I teach. That's a very New England style of dancing. But yeah, all this dancing, it all has deep roots, and because it used to be the big social thing. You go to your dance, whether it was a foxtrot or a polka or a contra dance or whatever it was, and music was the backbone for it.
Yeah, and I grew up in North Carolina, which I guess it evolved slightly different. A lot of the bluegrass style, I think, evolved from the Scotch-Irish originally settled the North Carolina mountains, and you'll hear a lot of similarities of the Scottish and Celtic stuff. In the bluegrass, you hear a lot of similarities of that. But anyway, this song we did, I have to confess, I didn't really know this tune. It's one, I guess you knew it from your sister.
Yeah. So it's a song my sister used to sing a lot. We're a very musical family, My brother's a singer-songwriter. My sister plays fiddle in a band. My other sister plays harp. I'm a music teacher, so there's lots of music in the family. And this was a song that my older sister Hannah sang a lot.
Yeah, and so I pulled it up and started listening to a few different versions. I guess it's more Peggy Lee sang it, which was the vocal thing. And then there was, I could have simplified it. This version that we decided on, we did play through this a couple of times yesterday. Had some different, more interesting changes than there was another version that was just straightforward. I could have just stayed on that E flat the whole time rather than this. It's kind of substitutions that you would do anyway, even if that weren't written in. And I was telling Nathan, sometimes these chord changes are written out by a piano player, which doesn't necessarily work as well for a guitar player because we kind of think about things a little different. But it goes, those chart we have goes E flat and then an E diminished, which is a common chord change. It's really a passing chord to get to this F minor to B flat. So really, you can just raise the root is pretty much what's going on. You hear that a lot in like gospel music.
Yeah.
kind of it's that chord progression that's fairly common. If you're into jazz, you already understand that. But sometimes maybe you're trying to go from the classic rock world or the blues world and get more into the jazzy stuff. You'll see a lot of that, and which I've spoke about before on recent chats. The 2/5s that I'm going F minor to B flat, which just takes me back to the E flat. That's my target. And as far as guitar, I mean, we talk about voice leading. Piano players voice lead too. It's not going to sound if I have F minor to B flat. It's not going to sound too good to go. And then it's going to sound much better if I keep them close together, which is what I did there. And if you're playing like, I think as music evolved after maybe the 40s, 50s, they were playing some really fast bebop stuff. So you don't really have time to be all over the fingerboard. So those 2/5s. So you might, like the more modern, like the Charlie Parker and stuff, he would be going. So you don't have time to do it. And even Benny Goodman and Charlie Christian and those guys would much faster than. Even though this is not a slow tune, we were about, 150 or something? I don't know.
Something like that. I have my metronome at home.
Yeah, but sometimes the bebop stuff will get up over 200. So you're just flying through these changes, and it's not. Sometimes it's almost a little more difficult to play slow because you got to be a little more careful about the voicings because they're going to clash, rather than they're going by so fast no one's going to hear. So it's a typical 32-bar song. We talked about it a little bit, but a lot of times, as I mentioned with Joe last week, so if you were to take this to an open jam, the jazz slang might be, you set it up, take the head, we'll take a solo and take the head out. All that means is if you're going to set it up, that might mean taking those last 4 bars or 8 bars sometimes. It depends on the song. But you really want to let the band know where that downbeat is on one. And most people that have been playing a little while, they're going to hear that. They know exactly where to come in. So just I think that it's expected of a rhythm player to be able to do that, and endings as well. So practicing the songs is great, and practicing in a bunch of different keys, and you really start to get it in your head. But to put those intros and endings and stuff like that, and like one of my goals of jazzchat.org, ignite your imagination. I want people to innovate rather than imitate. And to me, that's kind of what jazz is about. We do, all of us get gigs where you have to play exactly what's written, and it's not as fun to me.
No, yeah, for sure.
It's like,
I get that.
The same if we were sitting here talking, if we had to read what we were going to say.
Yeah, no, it's almost like writing a story versus reading a story. Mm-hmm. When you have that freedom to create, improvise, you're blazing the trail. Even in the parts where we're establishing, we're going to play the head this way or that way, or when I play the melody, I'm not playing it note for note. Sometimes to the
and we try not
dismay
to
of the guitar player.
Yeah. Well, we try not to, because it's going to be quite dry. You know what I mean? It was more like that rather than, then maybe even doubling up, even slightly just doubling up helps a lot, just things like that.
Yeah. And I always kind of view it through the lens of, as a trumpet player, I always view it almost through the lens of like, how would I sing it? Or how would I speak it?
And that's good. Yeah, that's why I tell people, even if we're not singers, we should learn the words, because it kind of it helps you remember where the changes are, for one thing.
Yeah. But I always tell my students too, I think singing is one of the best things you can do as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
It helps your ears, it helps your sense of pitch, it helps your sense of rhythm. It helps everything because it's so internal. You can feel it.
Absolutely. And that's why they make you do 4 levels of ear training.
Oh, yeah.
in music school. Ear straining, we used to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the trumpet a little. It's not. I had Joe on last week, which is a brass instrument as well, and he went into it a little bit. It's not like a recorder or a saxophone where you just push a button and a note comes out.
I mean, if it were like that, I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 notes. That'd be it,
Yeah.
But it's a similar concept, except for, they're all taking that air and the vibration of it, making it into a sound. But yeah, brass instruments work on the overtone series.
Mm-hmm.
And I can put down any fingering and play. That's all with my lips, the speed of my air, is determining those.
And that overtone series is fourth, fifth, is it octave fourth, fifth, or octave fifth, fourth?
So yeah, there's an octave way down low, then a fifth, then a fourth, then a third. Then it gets kind of closer and closer as you go higher.
And yeah, that's good. And I like Nathan. I was music ed. Well, my master's is music education. Mm-hmm. So you do proficiency on a bunch of different instruments. It's not like I can pick up a trumpet and play it. But
you want to hear me play sax?
If you're teaching, you want to at least kind of know the fingerings a little bit. If you're teaching kids or something. But I think it's kind of as a musician to think that overtone series. A lot of our songs go that way. We go, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and then the 3 chord. That's in so many songs because it's what the ear wants to hear.
Yeah,
I think.
And it's very fundamental. It's present in so much folk music around the world too. I'm in grad school right now. I'm working on a unit on Mongolian music, and in Mongolian music they use overtone singing, which is where they sing a really low pitch and they get like the cavity in their vocal cords to vibrate, and those overtones on top of it. They sing a really low pitch. Yeah, they call it throat singing, overtone singing, but it's all built on that. And you can see that same style of singing used around the world. There are traditions in Africa and traditions in the Inuit tribes in Canada and the northern parts of North America. So all these overtones, they're everywhere in music.
Yeah, that's awesome that you bring up that it comes from, because I think some people say, well, jazz is a true American art form, but really to me it's a mishmash from all over the world. If you
for sure.
Think about it, coming out of New Orleans, there were the French, the Haitians, the Cajun, which up here it's the same, the Acadians, and you can hear the similarities, but because some of them were sent to Louisiana. And then, you had people coming in from Cuba with those Latin rhythms. And then as jazz players, we generally play a lot of bossa novas, sambas. Those are Brazilian rhythms. But it's really cool to be able to play all that stuff and to have different styles. Usually if I'm on a gig, I kind of try to go back and forth, and so I'm not playing all swing tunes the same speed. I'll go and I'll throw in pop tunes too.
Yeah,
people know.
No, it keeps it interesting, and it gives people. I have a similar approach in my teaching where I try to do a wide variety of music so that the kid that likes the dancing, or the kid that likes the singing, or the kid that likes when we get to do this or that, they all find their level of engagement, the thing that they latch onto.
That's good. Yeah.
So variety is so important in all. I think in everything.
That's true. And then you're going to start back to teaching here in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, don't remind me.
Yeah.
No, it's coming up real soon.
But you're still a working musician as well, right?
Yeah.
You, both of us are. We do what we can. We teach, we play.
Whatever keeps the lights on.
So you have any gigs you'd like to plug or any bands you're doing?
Well, I just did a really fun concert with a group called Alexander's Jazz Time Band. It's a group based out of Bolton. And we'll have a concert coming up, I believe, on November 1st down there in Bolton at the First Church of Bolton.
Cool.
I think it's called. But no, it's a fun group. We do old-time tunes, kind of like this. We do like stock arrangements, which are like very particular arrangements of old tunes that were recorded exactly as written by a group back in the 20s, 30s, in that era. And it's kind of like almost like a revival of that style of music. So that's a really cool group I play with.
That's awesome. And you do some stuff with Joe too?
Yeah,
so
I don't know if Joe mentioned it when he was here, but we have a group called the Central Mass Brass. It's a really fun group. It's him on tuba. I play trumpet with another music teacher, Jeff Sheldon. We've got our friends Noah and Ryan on the trombone and horn, respectively. And it's a great group. We play a ton of different stuff, from classical to contemporary to pop music to jazz, whatever we find that's compelling for us as a brass quintet, which is, like I said, 2 trumpets, horn, trombone, tuba.
That's awesome, and it is for our audience. It is important, I think, to go out and support these groups. I mean, even though we went to school, we learned to play. We need to be told we sound good too.
Feels good. It's good for the soul.
Yeah, and if without an audience, there's not much reason to play.
I think that's so important. We have our kindergarten, first grade, second grade, so on concerts, and every concert those kids give, I end it by saying thank you to the audience. I say, without you, this would just be another rehearsal, because really the audience is what makes it a concert.
Yeah.
You and I could sit here and play tunes all day, but I mean, when it becomes a concert is when there are other people to take in and reflect on and appreciate that art.
Yeah, and I always emphasize, with my students and people are just starting, we do have to practice. If your parents are paying for it, if your kids you got to practice what find a teacher that works for you. I mean, sometimes there's really great players that might not be the best teachers for you. I mean, find a teacher that works for you, but practice the stuff they give you. And play your own stuff too. I always say leave time, at the end of your practice to play whatever you want.
Yeah. It's funny, too. I feel like my definition of practice has really changed over the years. I remember when I got to my undergrad, I did music ed and trumpet performance in my undergrad. And my professor said, Nathan, you don't have to be playing your trumpet to be practicing. And that opened a big door for me. I was like, wait a second. I don't have to sit there and play every time I'm practicing? And granted, that's still important. You still have to play sometimes. But there's so much to, like I said, singing is important, listening is important, and hearing things in your head and practicing without playing. All these things kind of work together. So if you're someone that's like, well, I need to practice, but I can't play all the time, or I can't make all that noise, there are other ways to practice.
Yeah, and you can practice in your mind, too. My master's in education, I would read all these experiments and methods. It was a lot of research. They did one experiment with basketball players. They had 3 groups of students. One, they went down and they did foul shots for a half an hour or an hour, whatever it was. One group practiced every day for a half an hour. One group would go down and just practice in their mind, just imagine themselves, throwing the basketball. And the third group didn't do anything. But at the end of the month, the people who just practiced in their minds, they did almost as good as the ones who actually practiced.
Yeah.
So if you don't have time, but you have some slow time at work, just kind of imagine yourselves playing. We have about 5 minutes. If you want,
Really?
Do we want to go out with some When the Saints?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
In G, maybe?
G, that sounds good to me.
Concert G. So that's another thing. We could get into that transposition of instruments, but it's quite confusing if you haven't been exposed to it before.
As someone who's been exposed to it for a long, long time, it's still confusing to me sometimes.
Yeah. Music school, you have to write charts and everything, you know.
Do you want to get us into it with like the ba da 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 da, or whatever the changes are, the last chunk of it? How I want from that part, or do you want to?
About there.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much. That was When the Saints Go Marching In, and it doesn't even it just says American Gospel. You know. But anyway, we got about 2 minutes. Any closing things you would like to say?
Well, something that popped into my head in the middle of that, you probably heard, there was one note in there when I started soloing that was really wacky.
Oh, on top of which chord?
I don't know. It was a couple bars in. We were talking about transposing, and and I just went totally off in the wrong space. But the thing that it made me think was, no matter what happens, you just keep on going. You find your way back. And I found my way back, and I figured it out, made it work. And that's jazz.
It, and yeah, it is. And Joe likes my statement. For some reason it came up to me as if you're driving, it's kind of, jazz is like kind of, if you're driving on the highway and you kind of start drifting over, well, you go ahead and hit your turn signal.
That's what I do. Oh, yeah.
Or they say if you play something wrong, just play it a couple of more times.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the key.
But yeah, it just get out and play it. Do it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And thanks so much to Nathan French for
showing
up
you.
for Jazz Chat number 4. And
honored.
Thanks. And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
We're out of here.